Welcome to the Moneyline Podcast.
Okay. All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Moneyline Podcast. It has been a minute. Last time we did this, it was just us here, and I don't even know. Were you here, Ray? I don't think so. You were out of here.
Yeah, three-piece.
But this is the first time we've done it for a while. A little bit of things have gone on. I now am a new father.
Yes.
Congratulations.
There you go.
I'm a new nephew. I mean, uncle.
A new nephew. Whoa.
Yeah, and there's been a lot. We have the NBA playoffs that are about to start, and we have a great guest on here, somebody who I've known probably for about 7 years now. César, can you please introduce yourself for all three people who are watching?
Yes, absolutely. Sure. My name is César Cuevas. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas. Moved to Houston in 98 and started a company in 99, 2000 called OrthoMed. And OrthoMed is an orthopedic medical supply company and orthopedic device distribution company. So people who like break their backs and the implants and total knee replacements and the implants and stuff like that go into the body. That's what we distribute and assist surgeons and train them on how to use this stuff.
Oh, wow.
Since then, it evolved into outpatient rehab clinics, and the most recent project about 7 years ago now is Stat Diagnostics,
Nice.
where we do outpatient MRI facility. Something, a little product a little bit different than the norm. Yeah. But we'll get into that a little bit later if you like.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So,
Very cool.
like I mentioned to you before, the Moneyline Podcast, we are all intrigued how people make money. You kind of gave us a brief rundown of that, and we're also intrigued by what frustrates you about your business and your field, and also just so kind of the general public knows where you're coming from, if that makes sense. And we talk about it constantly from the law firm's perspective, that what people don't realize, like what frustrates us a lot of times about things is a lot of times the public doesn't understand how hard we work on each individual case. And if you can kind of give us a rundown. So my first question to you is this: how did you get into this?
Well, that's a pretty interesting question. Then, I got into the medical space specifically. I got inspired, I guess, and pushed into this field when I was 16 years old. My mother suffered a stroke while in bed, and I was in the bedroom next door. And so I woke up to her, like, gasping and aspirating for air. Meanwhile, she was choking on her own vomit and so on. And she went into a coma, went into a stroke. And when I rushed over to pick her up, she basically died in my arms.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh.
And so she was dead in my arms.
Wow, David, great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to lead off like that. I'm sorry.
It's funny that this is going to be now on air because it's never been told like this. I tell people, the story who ask, and everybody's been like, you need to like publish or do something about this because where you came from to where you're at now. But that's basically what happens. Mom died in my arms. I gave her mouth to mouth. I gave her CPR, kept her alive till EMS got there. I was the only child in the home at the time. My brothers were, older and moved out. And so it was just Mom and I. We rode to the hospital together. Basically, they were pronouncing her dead, asking me to sign all sorts of documents and this, that, and the other. And finally, my older siblings started arriving, and so Mom slipped into a coma for about 3 months. And so when she came back, I was pretty much her caregiver. I would help her, go to therapy, go to rehab, helped her put on her pantyhose on, did her lipstick, did all that stuff for her.
Wow.
And so that
How old were you at this
I was now 17 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was 17 years old, and then I thought, okay, this is something what I want to do. I want to be able to help people. Yeah. And so that kind of put me into the orthopedic rehab kind of industry. And so my goal was to go into and become an orthopedic surgeon. So trying to take care of Mom, trying to finish high school, get ready for college. Well, then, guess what happened? What just happened to you about a month ago? Then I had a baby.
Wow.
Yeah, kids having kids, man. So then I had some choices to make, right?
That's the El Paso special.
Let me tell you one thing. If you're 17, 18 in El Paso, you don't have a baby or having a baby, then you're not doing something right.
Something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
failed.
You gotta find yourself a new girlfriend.
Yeah, right.
You know? Exactly. We don't have quinceañeras. We have weddings at 50.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what projected me into that direction.
Wow.
And then, I mean, we can make this podcast 20 minutes, or we can make it 20 hours. But I mean, that's...
And then it kind of evolved from there.
And then from there, kind of evolved from there. Then, you know, I was a kid having kids. And then, you know, I had my mom who was sick. I was trying to work. I was working 2 jobs. Some of the things that I was getting into were not doing so well. And I was not, going down the right path. And so in El Paso at that time, there was basically 2 choices, and most of my friends are in that position now. You were either in jail or dead.
Yeah.
That was the way it was going to go.
Yeah.
And so I chose to not do either one of those. And my oldest brother at the time was already living here in Houston.
Uh-huh.
So he said, listen, I'll give you an opportunity to come over here. He said, but you're going to leave all that baggage behind, and we're going to start from scratch.
Yeah.
He says, but I don't want any of that mumbo jumbo. Let's come over here and start from scratch. So I had a big choice to make because I had to leave my mom with my other brother, and I had to leave my baby behind at the time. And she was about 1.5 years old now. But I knew that if I stayed, there was probably not going to be a future that I'd be able to offer her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made the choice, and I decided to come here. And now I look back, and it's funny because I just got back from El Paso yesterday. My daughter's now 30. Yeah, my daughter's 30, and she's giving me 2 beautiful grandkids.
Oh,
I'm a grandfather of
yeah.
2. My oldest grandkid, she's 2 years old, and my grandson's just 3 months old now. And I look back now, and I think about it, I'm like, yeah, God, it was so hard then, but I'm so glad that we were able to weather that storm and be here today to go back and enjoy these times.
No, absolutely.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like I don't know how your story kind of parallels Vince and I's, because we have conversations with a lot of our friends who we have a lot of friends in common, and a lot of times we'll talk about how the majority of my family, extended family, have all been in jail or prison.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of, and it's normal for.
Right.
I mean, we thought that was normal, and they look at us and they're like.
Exactly. like what are you talking about?
I don't have any relatives
Yeah.
that have been to jail or
You mean
prison.
you don't have an uncle who's in
or even
prison? Like,
friends.
what?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or
and,
friends that have committed major crimes.
Yeah,
It's like,
one of our friends is Instagram famous for making prison cuisine, and he's in there making hooch and all this stuff, and I'm like, dude, and he'll like text me. I'm like, how are you texting me right now?
Yeah, right.
I thought you were yeah. So it's funny though, because I think about it, and these are guys we grew up with,
right?
It's just it's funny how those parallels happen like that. So you ended up here in Houston, and how did you end up in the segue from into medical devices?
So what happened is when I was in El Paso, like I said, I wanted to really get involved in some sort of rehabilitation career, that kind of thing. And so since mom has been in physical therapy since, think about it. So she was 42 when she had her stroke. Most of us are there or past it, right? Imagine at the night before.
Calm down. I get crazy.
Imagine today you're doing this, and then tomorrow you wake up and you're in a coma, and your life completely changed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's when I'll be honest. When I was going to turn 42, I was just like scared out of my mind. I'm like, am I gonna wake? Am I gonna wake up tomorrow and like what's gonna happen? And so at that time when she was going through rehab, I said, this is what I want to do. So when I moved to Houston. Now, I was working at an orthopedic facility in El Paso where she was going to rehab.
Okay.
It's a group of 27 orthopedic surgeons, like big outfit. So when I told them I was going to move here, put them down as reference, and I worked for an orthopedic and rehab facility here in Houston. So when I was working there, it was time for me to renew my contract or my annual review. And they didn't want to renew me at a newer rate that I wanted. So I went to go work for a different orthopedic company, and they said, you know what? Yeah, we'll give you whatever you want. And at the time, my brother was working for a DME company in El Paso. They got sold and moved the whole family to Dallas. then he moved to Dallas, his whole family. Then they sold the company again and said, I have nowhere to go. So I told him, I said, listen, why don't you come to Houston? I'll ask these guys if the patients that we have now, can we just refer them to you enough to keep you afloat?
Yeah.
And so we started doing that. Slowly but surely, that company got bigger and bigger and bigger, enough to where I was able to say, okay, I quit working over here. And then that's how we dove into the orthopedic implant distribution company.
Wow.
Using the existing base, and then that's how that just slowly evolved.
So you help facilitate that
Yep.
business from
For him.
from going under.
Yeah, from going under. Yep.
I tell people this all the time because it's funny you say that you mentioned that. I'll be the first to say this, and Lou will jump on this quickly. Houston is not a beautiful city.
Hate it.
But if you want opportunity,
Yes.
I don't think there's another place you can go that has more opportunity. Period.
1,000%.
And I
I'll
really just
I'll
don't.
agree with that. You know, I often say that, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I agree with you. He who is broke or is begging for money is because it's a choice, specifically in Houston.
Yeah.
The amount of opportunity that exists here. I mean, I don't want to my own horn, but I'm living proof. I'm when I moved here, I forgot to mention this. When I moved here, I left El Paso and I came here when I had $236 in my bank account. One way ticket on Greyhound, a vinyl suitcase, and 2 boxes. My brother picked me up at the Greyhound station here. And I remember saying, you know, I was down to my last $17 in my bank, and I said, man, there's got to be a better way. There just has to be a better way. And the movie The Devil's Advocate had just come out. I remember specifically at Tinseltown and Bellway 8. And it was like $8.50 to get into a movie. I was looking for an ATM. There were some ATMs back then that give you $10 at a time, right? And I was like, shit, I got to find one. So I went because it was pulled out my $10 plus the $2.50 fee. I covered it. I had like $17, and I'm like, I'm golden.
$5.
Exactly. I said, I'm good. I'm golden. And
Yeah,
where I
pickle
spent-
and I'm good.
That's where I spent my last $17 on. And the next morning I woke up and said, okay, let's go. It's go time. A switch just came on. I said, let's go. And that's what happened. You know, when I had that job, I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything. I had an old motorcycle I had towed from El Paso here. It didn't even have a gas tank because I couldn't afford to buy it. So I would go to this neighborhood pet store and buy this acrylic fish tank. And I would put the fish tank in the center of it and fill it with fuel.
And then just put the hose in there?
Yeah. And I'd fill it with fuel. And that was, you know, because you would ride on it. And I would drive it like that. I was riding around on a bomb. On a bomb,
Damn.
bro.
You ain't lying.
Yeah, but, you know, and I used to drive from A-Leaf, you know, where, what is that amusement park of the Funplex? Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
They
So
just closed.
So I used to live, where I lived, and I used to drive all the way to Med Center. But on
On
a
a bomb.
On a bomb.
You've been smelling like gas at work.
I'm sure. It wasn't my fancy cologne that got the ladies. But, you know, once a week I'd have to go and replace it because that gas would just eat through the acrylic, right? And then the guy at the pet store would look at me like, what is this guy doing to his fish? Like, what?
Motorcycle doesn't have a tank on it.
It did, but it was rusted and busted up, and I couldn't afford to buy a new one. So I took the old one off of it, and I had an empty space. So picture this: I would just put it on, then I'd lay on it to cover it because I knew the
He
cops-
squeezed it between his legs.
Yeah,
like this.
because I knew that if the cops see me, they'd be like, "What's this dude doing?" Right?
Yeah.
But I
He's
had
just
to
about
go-
to drive and somebody blow something up.
But bro, I had to
It's
get to work.
Suicide bomber.
Yeah, exactly. A Mexican suicide bomber. Come on, bro.
That ain't happening.
Yeah, it's not happening. No. But I had to get to work and send some money back home somehow.
Yeah.
And you know, you do what you have to do.
Yeah.
But that all kind of ties back into what we talk about. Like, it's opportunity, right? And
Yeah.
if you want it, it's gonna be out there.
Yeah.
You just gotta go get it.
What do you think it is about Houston that there's so much opportunity that presents itself?
I was gonna say
The
population.
demographic, yeah.
You think
Population.
I think it's just
I don't think it's just population, but it's the industries that are here that allow medical, oil and gas, the culture. So food is like everywhere. You can be doing something that's related to that industry.
plenty of
There's
land.
plenty of
for
land
there
to
be
develop.
cut.
Yeah.
Also,
And then,
like,
yeah,
it's-
I guess-
people are constantly in and out.
I only
so
say that because I don't see Chicago as people saying, "Oh, there's so."
we're
a lot
about to
of
take
opportunity.
Chicago over on population.
but I think it's because
Well, we're
it's
up.
dense.
We're ready.
Oh, we
Yeah.
did?
Yeah.
We
It's
surpassed?
New York, LA, and it's us.
Yeah, it has to be more.
Yeah. And as far as food is concerned, we've even taken over New York.
Yeah.
Calm down.
They've said it many times that
Yeah.
we're the food city now. Oh man, are you today? Are you a no
Born
day?
and raised
Is today a no day?
Houston.
Estonian.
Houston.
Yeah. So
Is that why you hate it so much?
No, yeah, probably.
It's the weather.
Demeanor right there. Yeah.
General demeanor. That
You didn't
is
get no
so
coffee
rude.
today? No Red Bull?
She hasn't had her shot. That's what it is.
No.
You missed your Red Bull. You didn't get your wings. No, but I think you're right. I think it's a combination of everything. For sure, the population with the industries that we have kind of all feed with each other, right? I mean, you have oil. Somebody's building the oil, so you have construction. You have the construction. You have the people who's feeding them, and then just kind of feeds onto another. But if you don't have the population and those industries to go together, then you have a
the
stagnant.
med center and so it's interesting to see that and
Traffic.
Yeah. Awesome.
You're right.
You need freeways.
It's funny. I have a friend in Philly, and he's an attorney, and he's a PI attorney over there. And he's like, dude, what the fuck are y'all doing down there? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like everybody in Houston, like every attorney is like hustling. And I was like, yeah, because I guess we're all like pushing each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we're trying to get more creative. We're trying to figure out how to do
Reinvent
stuff.
yourself.
It's just like, we're trying to become like, we're trying to figure out different avenues to become successful because there's so much competition here. And I guess we're all pushing each other. And he was like, he's like, the only other place I see that is either New York or Miami. And I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you, dude. But
I mean, think about this. I was just talking about this yesterday when I was in El Paso with my brother, and he says, how come you don't come and bring a center and put it here? My sister-in-law just had a procedure done yesterday, and she tried getting an MRI. It took her 4 weeks just to get on the schedule, okay? And then she shows up there, and the machine busts. And so now push around another 2 weeks. I'm like, seriously? I'm like, we don't have those issues at all where we're at.
yeah.
So we started getting into numbers, and so just to put it out there real simple, like we average at about an average of like 300 studies a month, okay? And we're a small boutique center, one shop down the street right here. 300 studies. That's 300 new ones every month.
Yeah.
And we're just one center. And there's probably about 50 of me in Houston, small boutique centers, that are doing probably twice, if not the same or twice as much as I do. And that's just a small boutique center. Now, there's still now the institutions and the hospitals. How many people are there in Houston? Think about that.
Yeah.
And so that goes back into what you said, right? It all feeds into each other.
Imagine that El Paso's no small city.
Well, not anymore. I mean, it's at least a million too, for sure. Before we used to be a million combining Juarez and El Paso. Now it's a million on its own and a million over here. So combined, and a lot of people who live in Juarez work in El Paso. And so, it's about 1.5 million. All day.
If you combine the two cities, that
Oh,
has
yeah,
to
it's
be
over 2.5.
Yeah,
Easy.
that's
Easy.
a lot of people. There has to be plenty of opportunity there.
Plenty.
You would think that.
A lot of supply and a lot of demand and no supply.
And that's what I was going to say, too, because we have people that you have gone to escort in New Mexico who have to come down to El Paso, can't get them in.
Right.
Like, it's just like, there's just not a lot of options at all.
Crazy. Crazy.
Sounds like there's a brainstorming opportunity here.
So have you thought about opening a
You know,
center?
I have thought about it.
Or what's the hesitation? Or you can tell there's a reservation about it. Like you don't want to do business.
You want to
there.
go back to?
Yeah,
he left some ghosts out there.
I've got 3 kids and 2 grandkids that I know of. All right? Now, after this,
Someone's gonna come
after
up
this
in the
podcast, we're gonna
woodwork.
Don't put your face on the billboard.
Papa!
Yeah, don't put your face on the billboard.
No, no. It's. I was just telling David downstairs that, every time I go back at least once a month, minimum, and every time I leave there, it's just so pleasant. I come back it's like, it's relieved, and then the minute you land here, you're like,
Yeah.
The real reason why I haven't bulldozed it completely or like spearheaded it is because I still have small children here. And, I didn't have the opportunity to be around my oldest daughter when she was young because I was over here to be in her everyday life. And I've got a 7-year-old and a 13-year-old here now that I know that the more I expand, then I have to go back and forth. And I'm going to miss out on a lot of those times.
Yeah,
That is the only reason.
Yeah.
that's the best reason.
And if it wasn't for that, for sure, then I'd be like, I would have done this 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And a
13, 13
7-year-old.
and a 7, and 2 grandbabies. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do this for a long time. I thought I was done.
You're gonna be working well until your 70s.
Yeah. So that's the reason.
Okay.
But I'll tell you this. I mean, after this, they're gonna hear. They're like, tomorrow there's gonna be 10 centers that Fuad's gonna open up tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
He's like, oh, Cesar said that motherfucker.
Yeah,
So
right.
Hell's gonna be on
So Hell's
there.
also Hell's already like what?
The one-step diagnostic El Paso.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
You don't think that you could spearhead it and manage it from?
You-
You
I-
can't.
Yes, yes, you know,
do
but
something that David doesn't know anything about.
I will
Still have to have boots on the ground.
I will tell you
Trust.
this for sure. I could, but like anything else, it's a baby, right? So the first 6 months, you have to be there.
Yeah.
And that's 6 months that I'm not willing to gamble, you know? And the second thing is El Paso is very much a good old boy, tight-knit circle town. Either you're in or you're not. There's a lot of outfits who have come in from outside to try and get in to do things, and it works for a little bit and just like dissolves, you know? I am not an outsider for sure. A lot of my friends that I went to high school with and college and all that, they're now physicians there, and they're like, bro, just come on, like, let's go. And I'm like, yeah. So the opportunities are there, and that we can talk about for sure.
Yeah.
You know, if I have like a strong team who can do it with, then I would certainly consider it. I've had a lot of people say, like, let's go, let's go. Other firms are like, let's go. But when it comes down to it, I'm like, I look back, I'm like, where are they at?
Yeah. No, that makes sense, man. So let me ask you this. What is it about your business that frustrates you that you wish the general public knew?
The biggest frustration for me is because I am so heavily emotional and involved on the actual patient care and healthcare side of it, is I can't tell you that I know every patient by name, but the more catastrophic cases and the patients that require the more individualized attention, I know them.
Yeah.
And it just disappoints me that, and I can't say that all of them, but some of them don't understand that it's not us pumping the brakes or us not wanting to give the care. Yeah. You know, it's the big brother putting a stop on us and on you as well. Yeah. You know, and that's a hard message to convey to somebody when you're seeing them there, in pain and falling apart. Yeah. And it's a sad story. And then you have the flip side of that where you have patient A who's got all the coverage in the world and is a complete jackass. Yeah. And then you got the guy over here who's who is hurt and has no coverage at all. Yeah. I wish somehow we could just switch these places together, you know, and it's just, that part's so disheartening. You see this guy like all the coverage in the world and he's just pissing it all away. Yeah, and then you got this guy, this family's over here is falling apart, and that part right there is what really tears me apart. But I think all that, in my opinion, I'll probably have a target on my back after this. But I mean, I think it's all Big Brother. It's the biggest insurance company. You know, they drive that. They frustrate the I call them patients. You guys call them clients. Is they drive the patients to a point where they back them up to the wall so they can give up and say, "Forget it, we're done." Yeah. And they take these small settlements. They wait them out, deny all the care. They get very little money, no compensation, sometimes at all, and no care. Yeah. And, you know...
and then increase their premium.
And increase their premium, for sure. And for us as well, as from healthcare standpoint, our malpractice keeps going up, and our reimbursements keep coming down. Yeah. But they still want the same quality of care. Yeah. You can't have all those three in the same place. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, they don't all exist.
Yep. It's funny you say that because from the client side, I see the guys and these are guys at the front gates. They're at the front lines, and they do the intake, and they hear the people first. And I hear them when they talk to these people, and I see the life cycle of a case, and it's exactly like you're saying. It's the people who have the bigger policies who are just
perfect.
Yeah, and these other people who are just where there's only $30,000 and there's not much more we can do, and we're like, hey,
and it's following up with the care and it's doing everything that it can,
and there's nothing you can do to make get them more in their pocket. It's just you're kind of in a bad situation, right. And I see how they try to soften the blow from the beginning, and kind of through the life cycle of the case, and then at the end, I'm like, man, there's no way this person is going to be happy or get what they deserve. It's unfortunate, but that's just kind of the nature of.
Yeah, they come in, they're completely banged up. They've gone to the hospital. They've had an overnight. They maybe had a procedure working against a minimum policy, and now they've got a $50,000 hospital bill. And like, what else can we get you? You know, we have to work with
what you got. It's, I mean, sometimes you can't make lemonade on lemons. Those lemons are all dried up. You know, it's just, you know, I find myself, and I'm sure many of other healthcare providers as well, but we, you know, for accounting purposes and what have you, we started in the past 3 years keeping a tally of all the pro bono work we've done. And I'll tell you, I mean, it's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot. I think only because, going back to what I said, my passion is still in the treating the patient, getting them well. You know, we've had patients come in that are like, hey, they need 3 studies, or they need to see our orthopedic surgeon, or they need a surgery, and there's only X amount of dollars. Then that's when I'll call the hospital that we work with and say, hey, listen, we bring you 9 home runs. I need you to bunt on this one. Yeah. You know, I just need it. This guy really needs the help. Yeah. And you save those calls for those situations. Yeah.
I think it's funny you say that. I'm glad you said that, because I don't think the general public understands that we do try to do that. Like, you guys try to do that from the healthcare side, and we do try to, like, we'll say, hey, for example, whenever we're our client's severely upside down in a case, we'll call the provider and say, hey, can you do a solid for this person? Like, they deserve some money, and like we're just trying to do anything that we can for them, and then go from there. No, I'm glad you said that. So,
and you know, and there's partners that are. And I say partners as in, you know, collaborative with the patient's care and treatment and your clients and our patients. There's outfits and partners out there that work with you like that and do good work. And then you also have just as bad as on the legal side as you do on the provider side, who you're just like another one? Yeah. Like, come on, this can't happen all the time. It's funny how you're handling the same exact scenario on track A and this guy on track B, exact same thing. But they hit a home run and you got, you know, barely on first base. That's just now on you, right? Yeah. And so you have to be able to finesse and see through some of that stuff as well, you know. And that's why it's very important, you know, for those clients out there who see this message and hear this message that they get with the right people.
What do you think is the importance for you from the provider side? How do I say this? Partnering with the right attorneys, so that you don't, because like you're saying, there are those times. I see this where, for me, I work with providers all over, and some of them I can like understand the nature of business and how to make things work for the benefit of the client. Some of them don't care. Is that something that you've experienced in your line of work from the attorney aspect?
For sure. The number one thing that can be the most frustrating is when the legal representative for that specific patient and client tries to or wants to direct medical care. Yeah. That can make it very, very difficult, because then it's that you're kind of working as if you're working with the Blue Cross Blue Shield now, right? Yeah. I mean, you want us to treat the patient, but with cuffs on, you know? Yeah. Now, we can get to a point where we can treat the patient and say, okay, like, this is where the patient's at, this is what needs to be done. And then we shift into like the Blue Cross Blue Shield mode, right? Let's go into pre-auth, so to speak. We speak to the legal representative and say, hey, is there coverage to do this? Yeah. Can we move forward? That's different than somebody say, hey, the patient needs this, the client doesn't need that. Directing.
Absolutely.
You know? Agreed. And that's what makes it hard on us from that standpoint. Does that answer that question?
That absolutely makes sense.
No, I mean, we get the recommendations from you all, and then we take a look.
Tell yes or no.
We see, will the numbers work? Right. Is it going to work? Right. We're never going to say no if the client wants it and needs it.
That's one of the first things we tell our clients. Yeah. We tell them, like, hey, look, we don't dictate treatment, care, or anything like that. We get you with the physicians. You communicate everything that you're feeling and let them decide what type of treatment and care that you're needing. It's our job to make sure that you're always in the best position possible moving forward. For sure. Make sure the coverage is there. We will get approvals for whatever we can. And the moment that we find out that maybe there's not enough or a question, we'll all have a discussion about it. But as far as dictating what happens, it's just something that no attorney should do.
Correct. Yeah, we always tell our clients, the last thing we want is for you to not get any money in your pocket, the healthcare providers to get unhappy, and for us to be unhappy. For sure. It's just not a working thing. So I think it's good that everyone's proactive from that aspect. Right.
And then you also have the flip side, the ones that are completely loosey-goosey, where they're like, go, 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 go. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, we should have stopped at 30,000. I'm like, well, we're at like 200.
Yeah.
Like, you told us go, go, go. Right?
Who was managing this file?
Yeah, like, what happened? Like, then that's when you're like, again?
Yeah.
You know, you're like,
no.
So, I mean, You know, I'm approaching my 26th year, right, doing this.
Uh-huh.
And so it's just, I think, the nature of the beast. It's something that's never going to change.
Yeah.
You know, you try and have the best communication channels available, the friendships, the relationships. And, I mean, there's always going to be errors, of course. You know, nobody's office is perfect. But, I mean, you try and mitigate those as much as possible.
Yeah. I think that's a good word. You try to mitigate as much as possible. And we try to tell our clients that as well. Like, hey, look, we will let you know when there is risk in your case. In other words, when you're going to take home real money,
Right.
when the provider's going to get paid, when everybody's going to get paid, we'll let you know when that point is. Right. And a lot of time, it's funny because we have the saying, you cannot reason with unreasonable people. And some people just aren't reasonable.
And some people want it all, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we get some patients that are like, well, no, I want my $100,000 surgery, and I want my $100,000, and I want $100,000 of loans along the way.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we settled it for $150. How do we do this? Let me see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
And
you're right.
that's unreasonable.
Yeah. No.
And
I
so,
agree.
yeah, the message, I think, yeah, like you said, some of these clients just got to be, and I believe it's just lack of education for the client. I think the more educated the clients are, the better patient client they become.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
We
You know,
try to give them all the information
Correct.
up front. I try to make sure that they know, like
Right.
Vinny just said a second ago, that you try to let them know, well, unfortunately, here's what we have to work with.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I call it the Scotty effect, where you under promise and then over deliver.
over-deliver. That's our goal.
You try to let them know up front, and they still forget midway through. You said I was going to give $30,000. No, Ray never said that.
Yeah.
See, that's what you get. We get you said you were going to make me better. No, we didn't say that. We just, we didn't say we're going to fix you. We didn't say we're going to help you,
Yeah.
feel better,
Yeah.
reduce some of your pain, or that's what the goal is. We're not fixing you.
Yeah.
We're not fixing. You're not a machine.
Yeah.
We don't replace the
We're
bad.
going to find out what's wrong.
Yeah.
We're going to do our best to get you as healthy as
As healthy,
possible
right.
with what we're working
Correct.
with. And
Correct.
So before we move on to sports, I have one question. I saw in the news recently that an MRI facility got sued because some guy they did not know got sucked in because of hardware.
Mhm.
Without giving us any details or violating any HIPAA, do you have a crazy story that in your 26 years or 27 of experience that you've seen or heard of that's happened?
In the time frame that I've been doing this, obviously, equipment has evolved. It's gotten stronger, specifically speaking about, magnetic machines in the MRI business in the world. I've only been in that particular scope, in that space for about going on 8 years now. But I think that was more prevalent in years past. Machines now are, yes, they're more potent, stronger, but they're also a lot safer.
Okay.
So I know that's hard to kind of understand, like they're stronger but safer. How does that work, right? I think in that particular instance, I don't remember the story word for word, but there could have been some parameters and things, obviously, that could have been, avoided and taken under precaution. I can only speak on behalf of our machine. Our machine operates, on a different level where we actually have televisions in our MRI rooms. Patient can actually be having an MRI and watch a show, watch a movie. A parent can be sitting there on their phone, what have you, because, the technology has evolved and it's different nowadays. In that particular case, the patient probably, I can't remember, it was a pacemaker or
I think it was a pacemaker.
something,
yeah.
right? Now, we're also super precautious with pacemakers. Pacemakers can be something completely different. You shift that can move things around and create some major problems. We're still very careful with patients who have had bullet fragments in them. Believe it or not, I didn't realize that this was a thing, but we get at least 3 or 4 of those a month. I'm like,
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, you know, like,
But
How
the
many
bullet's,
people
the
getting
bullet's
shot
still in
out
there?
yeah, they've been walking around with a bullet, lodged in there. Yeah. I'm like, you look like you could be the president of like my child's elementary school.
Yeah, I got shot.
You were a banger, like wow.
we had a
Let's
previous
talk about
employee.
that.
We had a previous employee who had
Yeah.
Right?
fragments
But
still
you would never
inside
think
of her.
about that.
Yeah.
And so things like that we are careful with, and that can be lodged around, specifically as pacemakers or a bullet like that. The magnet can pull on that a little bit and it can dislodge it and go somewhere else. 100%. Yeah. But you'll be surprised. That's probably happening more in Juarez. Those that get shot aren't being seen in El Paso. They go to their whoever's over there.
It's the
so-
tips of knives that are in there.
It's funny. I don't know if you knew this, and I don't even know why I know this little stat, but Juarez was for like 5 years in a row. Juarez was considered the most dangerous city in the world, and El Paso is considered the safest city in the world.
During the Afghan War, there was more deaths in Juarez than there was in the Afghan War. Wow. More deaths.
Wow.
Think about that.
That's wild.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You remember the cases of women that were disappearing down there, right? I mean, that was never solved.
Wow.
Do you remember the kids, the
Like
students?
that was like 30 years ago, right?
20 years ago.
Someone moved from El Paso over.
Yeah, that was like 98, 99.
That's why I don't want to go
Like,
back.
where you going with that? Yeah.
I told you I'm not going to go back.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have
All
to hop on
right.
this call.
Moving on to sports. So, you're out of here. That's right. So we got two things I want to talk about briefly: the NBA and the World Cup. I don't know shit about soccer.
Neither do I. And
me
people are
neither.
surprised. They're like, "You're Mexican from like El Juarez," and I'm like, I said, I think it's so stupid running back and forth, and you end up 0-0.
Yeah, right.
There has to be a winner and a loser, bro. Come on.
I agree.
Not everybody gets a trophy here.
I don't know anything about the World Cup, but I know that it's going to be here.
I know it'll be fun.
I know it's going to affect a lot of traffic here. People
With
are
all
saying
the
it's gonna be
construction
bigger than the
still?
Super Bowl.
1,000%.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Well, it's like, don't we get like 4 or 5 games?
yeah.
It's going to be for like 5 Super Bowls is what
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, so that scares me. They were saying it's going to be like an additional 350,000 people.
I don't think we have the infrastructure for
Probably
it.
per game. Probably,
Yeah, per game.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
That new highway thing, it better be better because today it threw me for a loop. I got
Look,
caught.
we can't handle a Monday night football game at the NRG.
yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine a World Cup.
The rodeo, like none of that can.
I
get
mean,
in.
they can't shuffle. Exactly. People are going to have to be wearing like uniforms because the dress codes and stuff. Yeah, I mean,
There's going to be like staging areas for them, like all throughout the city to watch the games live.
That's the one that's over there off of 59?
What's that?
NRG, where the Texans play.
Oh, it's in it. Oh, okay.
NRG. Yeah. So
They have a whole soccer stadium right there.
it's
No.
That's one in Edo.
No way.
That's like
Let me tell you, the
15,000
Estadio
maybe?
Azteca in Mexico, okay? Estadio Azteca, where they play weekly soccer, sits 85,000 people. And it's every weekend.
That,
Every weekend.
yeah.
To the brim.
Yeah. I see.
So imagine that 5 times here.
That's what worries me about is the infrastructure of Houston and being able to handle that.
I say no.
Yeah. I don't. When does it start? In June? May? June?
June.
I think it's June. Yeah.
it's gonna be
And
like
it's the fucking hottest time of the year in
People's
Houston.
temperatures and
Yeah. No.
attitudes
no,
are going to be on
thank you.
fire. Like, it's going to be
No.
crazy.
Anyway.
I think it'll be good for the city. It'll be fun. It'll be exciting, but it's going to be a very frustrating, very trying time.
Yeah.
The city's going to learn a lot from that.
I agree.
A lot.
I agree. So the NBA, who's winning the championship?
Lakers. I'm sorry. Sorry. Rockets. 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 No, I don't say that. I'm a 24-year-old season member.
Are you going to
Rockets.
say the Thunder?
No, I mean, I've tried to watch a few games. It's gonna. I think that we're gonna get a repeat of the Thunder and Celtics. Weirdly, they are, or maybe if the Knicks stay healthy, they may be there in the East. But it's hard pressed to believe that the Thunder, they just really turn it on come playoff time, and they're still kicking butt. And the Celtics sat their entire lineup the other day and still beat a decent team the other day with the backups. And it's the strangest thing. So the Celtics are weirdly good when everybody's healthy.
Vinny?
I want to root for the Rockets, and I think the only way that they have a chance is if, well, one, they can get past the Lakers, which if Luka's not playing, I don't know how long
And
he's not
Austin
playing
Reeves,
for,
yeah.
and Reeves,
Yeah.
if
At
they
the
get past
same
the
time.
Rockets and avoid the Spurs, they got a chance against the Thunder. But that's a scenario that I don't know can happen.
They're too
Yeah,
bipolar.
I know, and you don't know.
Bipolar.
They've been kind of inconsistent, but I honestly think it's going to be between the Rockets, Spurs, and Thunder.
I think it's a West Coast or a Western
sure.
Conference team that's going to win it.
And then I forgot about the Celtics, but I think the Celtics or
Pistons are number
I
one.
think
over there.
Detroit.
I forgot all about the Spurs, and the Spurs beat the Thunder
Spurs, yep.
twice already.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So
I forgot about the
Wemby's
Spurs.
just out of this world,
And
literally.
do you know? And the Spurs have a weird lineup where they play better. They get better when Wemby's not on the floor.
Really?
They are very good when Wemby's on the floor. Then all of a sudden they'll sit him for like a game or two, and they get better. They start winning games. Like they remember that the start of the season they didn't have Wemby, and they learn to play without him. And those two rookie guys are.
You know what I saw was when they came to play us here twice. So, for example, when Wemby was on the floor, we were trailing by 10, 12 points. They'd sit him down, then we come back, and we get up by 8 points. Like everybody's getting excited. I'm like, wait till he comes back on the floor. He get back on the floor, and then it would just hit back over. I'm like, it's impressive what a difference one guy can make.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's scoring all the points or blocking all the shots.
He
he's
takes
just
three
affecting the
steps
game.
and he's across the court.
Yeah. When you see him live as a human,
He's towering over guys who are 6'10".
I mean,
towering like.
And it's weird, like he looks like he's 2 foot taller than them.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
But look, one of the, I wish him on the best, and I don't wish ill will on anybody. But when you, like you said, when you see him live, his legs are as thick as my arms.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's just prone to injury. Look what happened to all our tile guys.
Yeah.
When Capella was there with us initially, and he was like this, same thing. Now he looks like, when I saw him, I was like, oh, you look like a man now. You know? And
Is that Shaq?
And you hit your first, hit your first 3-pointer as a man.
Yeah.
Same thing with Wemby. I mean, that guy's so. I mean,
I agree.
They don't have longevity.
Yeah.
I agree. For being that tall, you got to put some weight on. I agree.
Somebody lands on his leg or something.
20.
20.
probably,
Yeah.
dude.
He's like
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean. That makes it.
Still
It's
gotta
hard.
grow.
With somebody like that who gets an injury on their leg,
Yeah, somebody lands on his leg.
that's
It's
a
it's
tough
done.
recovery.
Yeah.
for
I
somebody
mean,
that big.
put it like this: Durant has been skinny his entire career.
That's
Still
true.
skinny.
That's true.
He was super skinny in college. He put on a little weight in the pros, and he's still playing. I've always expected him to break a leg at some point, but he doesn't.
You're right, Joe.
Yeah, you're right.
That's fair. I think it's going to be either Spurs or Celtics. That's my guess.
Who's gonna win it?
Yeah.
I think it'll be Celtics.
Yeah.
I've always had a thing for the Celtics since KG was there. I followed KG since he was with the Wolves. I call him my little unknown man crush. When he was with the Celtics, I used to have a mini plan, so I used to fly over there to Boston to watch him play. And ever since then, I just kind of stuck around with the Celtics. And I mean, Pierce and Rondo and all those guys when they were there. I mean, they just left it good. And they've been consistent in time. And this Brown dude is just,
Jaylen
and
Brown.
he's smart.
Yeah. They're a
Hey, have you
good
seen that
team.
on Netflix? What is it called? Starting Five or something?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. No, he's very smart. But
He's
no,
like one of those under the radar.
Oh,
And he doesn't.
Top 5, 10
he's
players.
not
Yes.
flashy. I love the fact
Exactly,
that he
low
doesn't. He stays in the game and he doesn't get caught up in the drama of
Correct.
it all. I love it. Yeah. I have to agree. I'm gonna recant. I'm gonna take back Thunder. I'm gonna go for my San Antonio family. Go Spurs, baby.
Man, Cesar. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
appreciate you guys
That
for having me.
concludes this episode. And until next time, thank you, brother.
thanks, man.
Appreciate you,
Appreciate you
man.
guys. Thank you so much.